Hello, everybody, and welcome to Where Are They Now? This is brought to you by Malibu Clothes. Get your suits right here at the Malibu Clothes building in Beverly Hills. Today's guest is former Major League Baseball player Gabe Kapler. How are you, buddy?
Well, how are you, brother?
I'm doing fine. Let's talk about how you got drafted in the 57th round from Moore Park College. Is that what it's called?
Yeah, Moore Park College in Southern California. Yep, great place to play baseball. Great group of people, extraordinary coaching staff, dedicated and devoted to developing men. It was a great experience for me at Moore Park.
And originally, you went to Cal State Fullerton, and it says that you weren't ready for that program. Tell me about that.
When I went to Cal State Fullerton, I was a baby. I was 18 years old, fresh out of high school, not quite ready to be away from home, and acting like an 18-year-old acts. So I was just acting foolish and getting into a lot of trouble. About midway through that semester, I was asked to leave. The story goes, the lead recruiter, and now he's the head coach at Cal State Fullerton, came through with the recruit after I had told him that I wasn't going to be at practice because I had a family emergency, when in reality I was drinking and watching the Fab Five back in the day. And he brought the new recruit through and found me sitting there, and it wasn't long after that before they asked me to leave. I grew up as a man after I called my dad and said, look, I lost my scholarship at Cal State Fullerton. I had to start over. Definitely a coming of age experience for me.
So you had great years at Moore Park College. You got drafted in 1995. Tell me about that experience when they drafted you in the 57th round.
The experience of getting drafted in the 57th round, the greatest thing about that was I was completely naive and I didn't know what that meant. So I figured being drafted in the 57th round, we all got thrown into the same pool, and I was on equal footing as the first round pick, Mike Drumright from that year, Brian Powell, the second round pick. I felt like we were all the same. And that naive nature that I had at the time was just perfect because I competed like that. I competed like everybody was equal.
You know, also in the 55th round was Mark Mulder that got drafted that year too.
Wow, I did not know that.
From the 50th round to the 59th round, there were 170 picks. Only 5 made it to the major leagues.
Wow, that's an interesting statistic, no doubt.
5 to 7. Sorry, 5 to 7. It's definitely 7 and under. Where were you at the time when they said, Gabe, you're going to the big show? Talk to me about that experience.
The greatest thing was getting called up and going into the old Tiger Stadium and seeing that old Detroit D, that old English D hanging from that wire locker in the oldest ballpark. I mean, the ballpark was falling down at the time, but I didn't care because I knew I was going to be playing on the same field as Ty Cobb and Al Kaline and sharing the dirt with Alan Trammell and Lou Whitaker and the legends that played before me. So I had some great teammates at the time. I got called up with one of my friends, Robert Fick. It was a spectacular experience, and just the honor of wearing the old English D on my hat and on my chest, something that I don't take for granted for a moment. I remember getting called into the office and just feeling absolute elation knowing that I was going to the big leagues.
Anybody buy you a suit when you made it to the big leagues?
Damian Easley actually took really good care of me. He took me out, bought me several suits.
Oh, okay. And who took you under your wing in Detroit?
I would say Easley. Easley was one of those guys. Tony Clark was another caring and just an extraordinary teammate, good individual. Obviously, he's gone on to accomplish great things in his career, and now in one of the most important leadership positions at the Major League Baseball Players Association. Tony Clark was instrumental in my development, as was Damian Easley.
Now, I know you're a strong guy, very fit guy. Did you ever hit the roof at Tiger Stadium during batting practice?
No, I didn't. First of all, as a right-handed hitter, it's much easier to do that from the left-hand side than it was from the right. In fact, I don't know of anybody who did it while I was playing in Detroit. Although I do think Mark McGwire came through. Maybe was it '98, and there's rumors about it. Cecil Fielder.
Yeah.
There's rumors about him doing it. And then Robert Fick hit a grand slam, the last home run ever at Tiger Stadium, to right field that went on the roof at Tiger Stadium.
Wow. And you were the last guy to steal a base at Tiger Stadium, the old Tiger Stadium.
I don't take that for granted either. I mean, and I think I scored the last run as well. It was just being a part of that, the last game at Tiger Stadium, the flashbulbs popping like it was the World Series, I can clearly remember Carlos Beltran at the plate on the left-hand side, Todd Jones on the mound, flash bulbs popping all over the place, 40,000, 50,000 people there, and it felt like we were just, we were playing in Game 7 of the World Series. People feel very passionately about that old stadium in Detroit, as did I. And I still do. I still feel strongly that stadium was one of the best in the league.
How many years did you play in Texas?
I played 2000, 2001, and I was traded at the deadline in 2002.
There's a batting instructor that I admire a lot named Rudy Jaramillo. Do you think that would you give him a lot of credit for your hitting, or there's other batting instructors that you clicked with?
Well, Rudy was definitely one of the greatest batting instructors I worked with. He was instrumental in my development, not only mechanically but mentally at the plate. He had some keys that were important. He felt strongly that the front foot needed to be down early. He also taught me a leg kick. He really stressed the importance of staying square to the plate, so your hips and your shoulders pointed towards the plate as long as possible, which enables you to keep your power intact, because the moment your front shoulder, your front hip flies open, your power flies open as well. So you want to keep that front shoulder and that front hip closed as long as possible. He used to stress that. But most importantly, Rudy remembered every little detail about every at-bat. If you had an at-bat in April, he might bring it up in mid-June. He was also the first base coach that year in 2000. When I got to first base, Rudy would be like, "Hey, you remember that at-bat that you had in April where you felt like this?" You're like, "Rudy, how do you remember that?" This was a guy that really, really cared and had a memory like an elephant. His recall was extraordinary, so he had the ability to remind you of what was going on.
Did he believe in a lot of video, or he believed more hitting towards the opposite field, or off the tee, soft toss? What was his drills like?
His drills were actually all of the above. We did one hand drill with the left arm, one hand drill with the right arm. We hit off the tee. We hit flips, soft toss, live batting practice. He even threw batting practice. We looked at a lot of video. We meditated together.
Wow.
He and I got very, very close.
Let's talk about the Boston Red Sox. All right, I read Terry Francona's book. The main chapter I read was 2004. And be honest, Gabe, you guys are down 3-0 to the Yankees after they demolished you the night before, 19-8. 3-0. I'm sure the whole Boston media, the fans. But how was the clubhouse? Were you guys doubting, or was it like whatever happens, happens?
You know, Eddie, you're going to see a lot of different stories about what the conversations that were had in the clubhouse after Game 3 and then ultimately the day of Game 4. But the truth of the matter is that the conversation going on inside of the clubhouse was stuff like, look, we gave it everything we had. We're going to go out tonight and give it everything we have. The chips are stacked against us. So all we can do is band together as a team. I don't think there was any inclination from anybody that we were about to come back from 3-0, win 4 straight, and the final game on the road at Yankee Stadium. I don't think anybody really thought that to be a real possibility, frankly. I think guys were understanding that we did everything we could. We're going to continue to do everything we could, but really, at that point, it was somewhat out of our hands. We didn't have the capability. We didn't have the firepower to come back. I think that was the main sentiment. Was there some talk about what would happen if we got into like a game 6 and 7? Yeah, we talked about that, but ultimately we were just going to go out and try to band together one more time and try to win one game. And we did that a couple times, and before you know it, the momentum is on our side. We couldn't be stopped. And obviously, after we won Game 7 and we beat the Yankees in the ALCS, the Cardinals really had no shot, because we had already won our World Series. We had nothing but confidence, nothing but swagger, and there was nobody that could beat us. And I think to a man, we didn't feel like we were going to lose one game, and we didn't.
What was it like playing for him?
Well, Tito and I had a fantastic relationship. We maintain a fantastic relationship to this day. A great level of respect for him. The thing that I found most intriguing about Tito is up or down 10 runs, he was the same guy. 0 for 40, 40 for 40, he was the same guy. I've played with managers where if you walked into an elevator with them after struggling, they're a little bit quiet. They change their demeanor a little bit. They're not the same guy. Tito was the same guy every single day. He always was a friend. Before he was the manager, he was a friend. Clearly cared about the individuals on his team. Look down from one end of the dugout, and you look at him, he makes eye contact with you, big smile comes over his face. Warm, charismatic, funny, great strategy guy from a game perspective, and is also willing to listen to players and what we need. And he was able to deliver on those needs. He's a special man. In 2007, I wanted to manage, and I was coming off an Achilles tendon injury. It was important to me that I go and get that right and heal. At the same time, I had laid out a managerial path for myself, and the Red Sox were kind enough to give me that opportunity. I went to Greenville. I loved it. Had an extraordinary time in Greenville. Loved having the player-manager relationship. These guys are first time away from home, learning how to wash clothes and wash dishes and get to the ballpark on time. I loved that part of it. This first experience away from home, first experience in pro baseball. And then I recognized that I wanted to come back and play. So, there's no rules. There's no path that you have to take. Came back in '08, played 3 more years and really enjoyed that.
And then you also played for the Tampa Rays, which I love Joe Madden as a manager. Is he similar to Terry Francona?
Very similar in a lot of ways. More analytical than Tito. Definitely more quirky than Tito. Joe Madden is a great man, great human being. Has interests away from the field. The biggest difference between Francona and Joe is that Tito eats, drinks, sleeps baseball. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Nothing is more important to him. Joe Madden, while he's an extraordinary manager, great game tactician, as sharp as they come, and an extraordinary human being, he has interests away from the field. He likes wine, he likes great food, he likes to ride his bike. Joe's got, strong interests away from the field. Tito loves baseball. Baseball, baseball, baseball. Both great guys.
Okay, when you take off your shirt, what do people say in the clubhouse? How'd you get those abs, man? How you so ripped? How you do this? Like, what is your routine? Even as of right now, I heard you have a very strict diet. Is that true?
I don't know that I call it a strict diet. I eat sensibly. I eat whole foods. I eat, I eat a lot of animal protein. I eat, 7 or 8 eggs a day. But most importantly, I get a lot of fruits and vegetables. I don't eat processed foods. I do love good food, so I will go out for a great meal, and I won't think about it. And if I have a couple glasses of wine and a big bowl of pasta, or a couple glasses of wine and a pizza, all good. But my daily regimen is just very sensible: whole foods, fruits, vegetables, berries, animal proteins, and a lot of leafy greens. I don't mess around with packaged foods. I don't eat protein powders. I don't make shakes. I eat whole foods.
How did you get approached by Muscle Fitness magazines? How'd that happen?
Oh, that was you're talking 15 years ago.
That's fine.
Yeah, I actually responded to an audition.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, pretty straight up. Oh, photographer said, yep, we'll use you.
So what are you doing now with your life, Gabe?
Now I'm doing analyst work for Fox Sports 1, and I'm also doing some consulting work for the Tampa Bay Rays. So, that occupies most of my time. I do some writing for Baseball Prospectus and for WEEI.com. I'll probably do a little bit more writing going forward. I love the radio work that I'm getting to do. I love talking sports, all sports, not just baseball. And, it's taken up the bulk of my time. I'm loving it. I'm getting to stay home with my boys. My boys are 14 years old and 12 years old. I'm watching them play football, which I absolutely love. Basketball season is about to start for them, so I'm as happy as I could be.
And with Fox Sports 1, did you actually have to audition for it? How'd you get that gig?
Well, just like anything else, like a baseball player has an agent, right? To talk to the clubs. Well, most on-air talent, I think, or many folks have agents, and I have an agent too. And my agent asked would I like to audition for Fox, and I said absolutely. They're in my backyard. Their studios at Pico and Motor, and that's basically the way it goes. You put yourself out there, and you're willing to try and fail, and that's essentially my MO. Nothing new scares me from that standpoint. I'm really happy to try new things, and if I fail, so what?
Where'd you get such a positive attitude that you have?
I'd say that my demeanor comes mostly from my dad and my mom too. But my dad, I think, has a really laid back personality, very easygoing. One of the things I love about my dad and look up to in him is I just don't think he cares what people think.
Now tell me the schedule. When you get to Fox Sports, what time do you report, especially during baseball season? Give me the schedule to do all the analytical work and all the research. How does it work?
I was getting to the studio about 3 o'clock. The show would start, between 7 and 9 p.m. But there's, a production meeting that was really important that all the on-air talent attends. It's really important to understand the flow of the show so that you can best produce when you get into that situation. You get actually live on the air. So I would get to the I almost said to the ballpark. I would get to the
Right.
studio at about 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and we stay there till 11:30, and then bounce after the show's over.
Let's say right now a team called you up and said, "Hey, we'd like you to manage, but you're gonna have to start in Double A or Triple A." Would you take the job, even though you're a family man and you love your kids to death? Would you give up watching them play for a job in Double A, traveling 12 hours on a road trip on a bus?
I'll tell you what, I this off season I turned down some opportunities that were really attractive, and they were opportunities that I would really like to take. And I'm not going to talk about what they were and who they were with, but I can tell you that they were really, really attractive. And I sat down with my son and I said, how do you feel about me leaving? He said, that would not make me happy, Dad. And that's all it took. There will come a time when it's time for me to go back out and get on the field and put a uniform back on again, and sort of go after some of my higher level aspirations. This is not the time. Right now is the time for me to be home with my sons.
Well, I don't blame you. Let's say your kids do get older. Let's say they're, they in the 20s, and you still got offered. Would you go then?
Yeah, of course. I mean, depending on where I am in my life, I mean, I have aspirations to be in an ownership position at some point, with a club, and sometimes it's good to touch every element of that club or of Major League Baseball so that you have the experience of everybody within the organization. It might be 20, 25 years from now, but good people will get good opportunities, and I feel like I'm a good person. I maintain my connections. I develop, nurture, and respect my relationships. You know what? I don't believe that 5, 10 years from now there won't be opportunities to get back in.
I think there definitely will be for you, Gabe. Seriously, because you know the game, you love the game, you enjoy being out there, and you love teaching. You have that motivation, like I got your back, man. This is how you hit, or this is how you feel. I can see it, man.
I appreciate it, man.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, well, I'm gonna let you go. Thank you so much for being on my show. Really appreciate it.
I enjoyed it, Eddie. It was great talking to you.